All right.
We're late. We're very late.
Yeah, we're here.
Better late than never, as the old man used to
Yes.
say.
Welcome everyone to the 10K Rum Podcast, episode 140.
May as well get it in once on the show.
Yep. Yeah, my name is Amos Joseph. Of course, I am, as always, joined by my co-host Brook Potter, who's in the UK. How's it going, Brook?
It's going well, Amos. It's going well. Over here, I've got what's my entertainment for the rest of the evening. This is my Celtic wines, medieval mead, not weed, but mead.
Medieval mead.
That's good. That would be for some good shit, man. But so I'm going to be enjoying myself for our last show, which has been going on now for 4 years. And we say it's actually not 4 years, but because it's our show, we can say it's 4 years. So Here's to the 4 years. And, hopefully, this will be a nice record for our kids. They can look back and see all the shit we used to say. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. How are you doing, man? How are you doing? Did you sleep well?
Yeah, I do apologize everyone for being late. Overslept. Spending time with the family last night, was up late, all of that. And yeah. So for those of you, of course, are joining for us the first time, maybe saw last week, we made a little announcement that today was going to be the last episode. And we've been kind of talking about it on and off. But yeah. So I had a pretty good week. Spending time with family and stuff. I think I'm going to be doing some stuff later today. So
cool.
We'll see about that.
Is your mom still there?
Yeah, she's been here like 2 weeks. So.
Oh, okay. How long is she staying?
She's staying till probably the middle of July. So.
Okay, that sounds good. Oh, you got plenty of time, man. You'll get a July 4th with the family. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got good stuff because it's difficult to actually get a flight out of here. Yep. Flying back to Taiwan after already getting here is like getting here. I think is the easy part. Getting back is an even harder part. But
yeah, with all the quarantine rules and I mean, I don't know if you saw Vincenzo, the garbage man on the Glorious House of Gains. He's got a girlfriend in London now. Mm-hmm. And they've been going, he went across there and basically stayed in a quarantine hotel. And now she's trying to come across to New Jersey where they're at. And she had to do this very roundabout fashion way of getting there and getting back, going through Mexico, quarantining for like 2 weeks. So yeah, people have to do like all these hoops to try and get these flights and not get dragged down for like 2-week quarantine for your connection and stuff like that. So yeah, I can imagine it's very tricky.
Yeah, with all the, it's nice because my mom told me that basically she'll, like when she gets back, she just goes straight home and then she can just stay there. She just stays there for 2 weeks. They've got a whole procedure with how that works. Like, they kind of have a way they'll send her directly to, like they'll have a taxi. The taxi drivers will they have a way of like almost quarantining in the car, and then they'll sanitize it after they drop her off and all this stuff. It's pretty interesting. So today is the last show.
Yes.
For those who've been, I guess, who have been watching the show, who have been keeping up, we'll see. We go all the way back to July of 2017. Brooke and myself, we've been friends since 2011. No, 2012.
Yeah, I think 2012. End of 2012. Yes.
November 2012. Well, we had a little chat before then, but
yes. But, yeah, we really connected out there on the Thailand trip.
Yep, we went to Thailand, and he and I guess, out of the entire group, were kind of one of the one of the handful of connections that I think continued.
I mean, I think we're still in touch with everybody, but not like this, like not where we talk all the time, sort of thing.
Yeah, like you and I are kind of, I think even compared to our friends who are in northern Minnesota that are connected, we're more connected than they are.
Probably.
And they live right,
and they're in their same state.
Yeah, they see each other more often.
Brilliant.
So yeah, like having,
I mean, do you remember what inspired you when you first kind of came up with the idea for the podcast? Like, what was it? What was your thinking for that whole thing? Do you remember?
Well, it was, I was getting after we did, we had a lot of conversations about just the politics and everything. Like we had initially what is it? Yeah, we were having a lot of conversations about politics. We were having, it was you got me on board with, kind of, I don't know if you want to say having hope again, about politics, at least the discussion and even currently for me, the involvement. You told me about voting for Gary Johnson and such. So I looked into that, and that's how I personally got into libertarianism and all that. But we were having a lot of conversations, and I was like, hey, what if we did a show about this, some sort of live stream? Now back then I was, sounds like I'm like an old man. Back in those days.
Back in the old days. Oh,
back in the old days, we would use Google Hangouts on air.
Remember the good old days, Amos, when we had Google Hangouts? Dang, that's like 3 years ago, man. It was so ancient.
And we would use that, and we'd hop on and have a chat. Now, you were just in your apartment in Essex, right?
Yeah, if it was that time. Did we start it when I was in Enfield? I'll have to go back and look. I think I might have done a couple of them in Enfield. Actually, no. Yeah, I know we did, because I remember the curtains were in the back at one point. So I was still in North London when we started. Then I moved to Essex, and that's where the bulk of the show came in. And I mean, we weren't doing it consistently either. It was kind of, whenever we felt like it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yes.
So we were there, and I mean, that was a full head of hair and a different beard back then for you.
Wasn't quite full. It was receding, but yes, it was it was a different look. I looked back on a couple of those episodes like, damn, I look pretty good.
Yeah. So we've been doing that. We call it, like I've told people a few times, it was the Amos Joseph and Brook Potter live stream for like 3 episodes. Then it was the Shitlord Preachers.
Yes.
And then we rebranded because we wanted to try to get more, more of a following, more like try to bypass the algorithm and all this stuff. That helped a little bit, rebranding and all this. So yeah, and I mean, man, we've had repeat guests, we've had big guests, crazy guests, not so crazy guests.
Big tit guests, I mean, we covered the gauntlet, man. We did very well. I think.
We've had guests, like I think at least a handful of guests that we've just never heard from ever again. Like,
yes.
not even just like beat with us, like social media completely gone.
Yeah.
Which is, or people who have, completely taken off too. Like, I know our friends like Shane and Nico. I eventually learned, became friends with them, and I've been, now, I mean, not so much during the pandemic, but I've definitely kept some regular contact.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're having a kid, they got married, and all this.
Yeah, I heard you were involved in the wedding.
I maybe was. I don't know. No. I flew out there and performed the wedding, and hung out with them.
Cool.
There was all that.
Back then they were Hapa Supremacy.
Yeah, so they were doing videos.
Yes, kind of commentary sort of thing.
Yeah. And then they started now they're doing podcasts.
Yes.
They've got the What's Happening podcast. Oh man, look at this. What do we got? Got Tom Bombadil. It's the end of the world. Yeah.
And I feel fine.
It's the end of. I mean, it's the end of the show. So, yeah. I mean, we had Robert Frank.
Yes, I'd have to say that is the biggest guest that we actually had.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened because of a roundabout way of doing it. And I kind of knew it was going to work, but I didn't want to say anything. We started with his friend, Beard So Strong. I reached out to Beard So Strong. And
now we got to go back to how you first met up with
him. Well, yeah, all right. So if we're going down the nostalgia machine, I had recently broken up with my girlfriend at the time. And, I mean, it was a rough time, not the end of the world, but it was a rough time. And around that time, I think we were getting into listening to the Glorious House of Gains podcast. You were sharing some Robert Frank videos, and I kind of got into it like that. And I found out in the course that they were coming to England to Body Power. I think that was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yes, I think that's right.
Yep.
No, actually, it was 2019. Yeah, it was 19 because I was supposed to go again for 2020, and then obviously the coup hit. And listening to their podcast, it was so funny. Listening to the guys and stuff like that. It was always something that could kind of uplift me during the course of the breakup and stuff like that. So I really felt good about listening to it. When they had the opportunity to come out, it was an expensive trip. It was to get the train ticket out there, the hotel and stuff, and I was kind of back and forth. And I bounced it off you. It's like, what do you think? I mean, it's kind of, it's expensive. And, I mean, I could fly out of the country for the money I'm going to spend getting the ticket, getting the hotel, getting the train ticket and all. I mean, it's practically a Spanish vacation. And you're kind of like, no, man, you got to go. And I was like, yeah, all right. And then it's like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, I'm going.
Right.
So, and I mean, yes, your encouragement was definitely part of that. And it's kind of like, fuck it. It's one life to live. These people have made a difference in your life. Go say thank you. That was kind of my thinking. It's like, hey, you guys really pulled me out of a dark place and stuff like that. So I went out to Body Power, and it was really fun. I just standing in the line, talking to people. These are all fitness enthusiasts. You got the fitness models, and you got like the supplement people, and lots of fit chicks, man. I mean, just ripped, and nice bubbly tits and just like perfection walking around and stuff. And then there was like, a couple of old guys. I remember I was standing in the line next to a guy. I can't remember his name now. He was in his 60s, and he came to Body Power to use the indoor gym that they had there. So he came there to lift weights, right?
Right.
And that's before I even got into the place. I was meeting these people. And inside, it was really spectacular. They had like all the CrossFit stuff. They had like some martial arts stuff, as well as the weightlifting stuff. And I was banging around looking for the booth. And I was one of the first people in there, and I found the booth. And it was Beard So Strong and Ray Vegas. So the two of them were there, man, in the booth. And I was like, hey, guys, stuff. Good to see you. So I was setting up, Rob's coming later. I was like, all right, no problem, man. So I went around and stuff. They had a great, like a burger place there where you could customize your burger. And I was getting like stacks of 3 and 4 burger patties and just eating that. And it was, fantastic, like really, really good food. And later on, I came back and the crew was setting up, and Robert Frank showed up with Jimmy Triceps. And Jimmy at that time was on the carnivore diet. So he and I kind of connected on that as well. And I think I was the first person there to get pictures. And the first thing Robert Frank asked me is, what are you following me on? Like, what social media are you following me on? Like, gotta make sure his ego is in check, right? To make sure you're a real fan, right?
Yeah.
And I saw him follow you on everything, bro, and stuff like that. Took some pictures. I spoke to Jimmy. I said, all right, I'll pass back. And I did. Like, for the couple hours I was there, obviously there was quite a bunch of fans that came. They wanted him to growl and snarl and do the character and everything like that. And I'd come back and I'd talk with Beard So Strong while watching the crowd. I'll talk to Ray. I'll talk to who else was there? Well, Jimmy Triceps and stuff. And then I'd go off and, check out some other exhibits, try to hit on a couple of chicks. But I mean, I'm not quite the Adonis that they're looking for yet. So, that was a work in progress. And a couple of times I came back and nobody was there. So I was one of the guys that went and asked Rob about something he said in his podcast many, many years ago, how he started training legs. Now, anybody knows Robert Frank, it's chest, Monday to Friday, Saturdays arms, and I can't remember what the Sunday is.
Was back,
it's back is probably it. Yeah. So fuck a leg day, right? That's kind of his shtick, right? That's kind of his thing. But he said that he was doing that. So I actually came up to say, hey, bro, you mentioned something about working legs. What was that about? And he eventually told the story that he saw one of these bodybuilders coming out somewhere in a style of jeans. They kind of busted and stuff, but he had like the massive quads and he looked at it and it's like, God damn, that looks really good. If I want to pull off that look, right? It's not like a major health issue. It was just fashion and stuff like that. And I thought, so that's great, man. And he still tells a story about how a lot of people in the UK asked about that. So, and I swung around a couple more times before I left. He went and did a speaking engagement in one of the conference rooms. I was there, I was encouraging him. I asked him questions, got him to mention the podcast. And he came off afterwards like, hey, bro, seeing you in there, I was really nervous, and seeing you there really helped me out. And it was great. So, after that, I think I came back and I shared the story on our podcast about going to Body Power. I can't remember what episode that was. And Jimmy Triceps follows me on Instagram. I don't know if he still does, but he did. He followed me shortly after that. And he put up a clip from our podcast where I was talking about meeting Robert Frank.
Yeah.
And, so I got Vincenzo eventually messaged me, hey, I heard your podcast. And, I was like in communication with the guys and stuff like that. And that's when we kind of discussed like, it'd be great if we get Robert Frank on. So I said, well, let's start with Beard So Strong. Let's start with, toxic masculinity, banging chicks, in the hotel lobby, going to the strip club and like banging out some Dominican girl. And we had a great time talking to Beard So Strong. He had some fantastic stories. We might have to go back and edit that because I think he's given away a couple of people's identity that,
No, we edited that. We edited that out.
I know. I think he may have mentioned it again. Somebody told me that they listened to it and they say, "Oh, I didn't know it was so and so." So I think we may have missed a mention of his name. So I'll have to go back and listen to it. And but anyway, it was great time. He was a good bro. We've kept in touch. Eventually, he became a regular on the show, and Robert Frank came on the stream while he was doing the podcast, and he did an appearance, and he promised that he would come on the show. So, I mean, we were stoked, man. That was, and we had video evidence of it, man. It's like, it's better than anything.
Yeah.
So awesome. I think that was just before probably the end of 2019, going into 2020, before all this craziness hit. Was it then? Probably going from 2000. Yeah, it was early 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he literally came on just before everything took off.
Yeah. So we reached out to him a couple times. He never got back to me. I sent him a couple messages and stuff. And at one point, it's kind of like, all right, he's not pushing it. He's not really, he's obviously busy. Okay, he's, we're not high on his list. And then he did a podcast, I think in October or November, around that time. I can't remember when. And in his podcast, he said, hey, Brook Potter and this other guy, I promised to come on the show. So if you guys are listening, reach out to my people. Let's make it happen. I want to be a man of my word. And we made it happen, bro. He came on. He had some technical difficulties where he was running off doing cameo videos just before he came on the show. So he came on and, we have like a little behind the scenes stuff going on. He ran off to run some cameos before we went into the show, and the rest is history. And we've all kept in touch. You went on to do some kind of producing advice, and you actually called into a contest and won a little stash. And I've been in touch with him through the whole thing. I sent him a message when he got sick, and every so often he'll shoot me a message like, how you doing and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a relationship we could all treasure at this point. Yeah, that was definitely a high point.
He sent so during our 100th episode, we did like a special little video showing like the different people that we've had on. We managed to get a handful of people like send in a video kind of saying congrats on 100 episode. And I was like, okay, I got all these people, everything's looking great. I need Robert Frank in the video. So he goes, hey man, like, what's your number? I'll send it to you. And I'm like, okay. So then I just randomly get a text from his personal number, and it's just him, and it's just a video. And my phone's like, did you know? Do you think this is junk mail? And I'm like, oh no. I pull the video, and he does a solid video for the
he did.
For that,
he did a great job.
So I just threw that at the very end of it, like thanks everyone for supporting us and everything. And that was interesting. Yeah, that was right before he got sick too. So yeah, I remember, when he came on, I was kind of in like just like a lot of like, I would say guests with a bit of a following, or, who are kind of done a lot of podcasts. I definitely felt a little like nervous, just a little bit at the very beginning.
A little starstruck. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He it was funny. He because he talked about this on the podcast a few times. He just started talking about how like he was having some problems peeing or something.
Yes, the green, the sweet tea.
The sweet tea. And he comes on, and I'm sitting here, trying to be all cool. And I said, so Robert, how's the sweet tea?
And he got it. It took him a while, but he actually got it.
He just kind of, but it was really awkward because like we're in the middle of the show, and he's like,
sweet tea.
And I'm like,
it took him a while, but he got it. He did get it.
He goes, oh yeah, I think he kind of. There's a split second you kind of have him look at him like, oh,
what the hell?
What's a weird way to ask the question?
I mean, that was like my first question. I heard him do another podcast, and he came back on the Glorious House of Gains, and he said, all the podcasts he's done, nobody's ever asked him straight up if he's on any kind of steroids. And I wanted that position. Like, I wanted to be the first guy on a podcast to ask him straight up if he's doing any steroids, right? And I think that was like right out of the gate. I was like, oh, you on any sauce or stuff? And he's like, oh, we're going there immediately. Like, okay. No, I'm off the stuff right now, kind of thing. But it was great. It was memorable. I think we did a good job. He enjoyed it. Yeah, I think, well, that was definitely a high point. When we did that, I was so optimistic for where we were going, what was going on. Like, anything was possible. I figured we could have jumped on and we could have got Tom Cruise. We could have got like anybody through Instagram. The sky was the limit, but didn't quite work out that way.
I thought like, subscribers and everything would just take off.
Yes.
And because we had a jump in subscribers when we had the Asian capitalists on.
Yes. Yeah, Brian was just asking about if there's any follow-up with the Asian capitalists, if we know.
They haven't. I mean, Jeff made a video. Yeah, Jeff made a video a couple months ago. He did like a long-form video with someone, but they haven't done much. Was it Bill?
Bill, yes, Bill.
He hasn't been on that channel in a while. I haven't seen him or anything. Haven't heard anything from him. So that's kind of, I don't know where that's going really. So, I
mean, you did a little behind the scenes stuff with Jeff as well, but that's never seen the light of day either.
Yeah, I hopped on a video with like kind of like a StreamYard here, but it was purely recording, and Jeff and I talked for like 4 hours, just talking about all sorts of stuff. And it was kind of, some things were a little, was kind of some more edgier stuff, some more common, normal stuff. It just kind of went all, it was just all
the Jews.
No.
Just teasing.
Jesus. No, we don't talk about that.
It's the last show, bro. Don't feel like you have to hold back.
No, I have many Jewish friends. No, I do. It's
I'm
just
part Jewish. Yeah, you can't offend me, bro. I'm good.
So, yeah, I talked with him and had a good conversation. And I thought he was going to kind of do a video about it all, but it didn't. He didn't really do much with that whole. It was, I mean, I guess I would say like it was almost like a Rogan episode. Like it was just a lot of conversation.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's good.
But he didn't do much with it. I mean, I sent him the whole video, and it didn't really go anywhere.
Right.
But yeah, had him on. Yeah, I had him and Bill on. There was the one time. Then we had him on again. Well, it was just Jeff.
It was
Jeff
just
and I
Jeff,
were
yeah.
on. Yeah, he was talking about a lot of new concepts and ideas he was going through. Kind of like a really, really different ideas.
Yes.
It was, and that was kind of one of those areas I really was just allowing, kind of that challenging of like, well, we're not just going to have libertarians on all the time. Like, we want to get people that will just really challenge the status quo. Like,
yes.
I think we were getting close to that when we had that guy, Eric Laprice, on, where he was really pushing like radical anarchist ideas kind of person. So we were really trying to like, I guess in a way be edgy, but it wasn't like, edgy for edgy's sake, but just like, we really got to like expand the wheelhouse. Like, episode 69, there was that whole thing.
But you have to say what happened in episode 69. You can't just leave it there, bro. Come on.
Episode 69, we had 2 women on. We had
No. You got to start at the beginning. You got to start. We couldn't get the women there in time, so we had episode 59 and a half. We had episode 59. We had like all these breaks in between, stretching it out.
Yeah,
long and hard, man.
So we had on your friend Sulan and Violetta, that's right. And they were there with you when you were doing the show from your office.
Yes.
In Essex. In Essex, I was going to say in England.
It's not wrong.
They were there with you, so you had a microphone. You had to keep moving around.
I was being the reporter at the time. Yeah, exactly.
So that was a conversation where we kind of took the deep dive and into like dating and relationships and stuff, challenging on different ideas. I remember, I think it was like we had the 2 of them like pull up Tinder and see how quick they got a match, and then in a year they're still swiping away. Like, haven't got one yet. Like.
And I mean, they were very particular, and I was kind of like swiping right on everything, and we were trying to explain a little bit of this, the sexual marketplace and how the dating world works. And I don't think they really got it and stuff. I actually did see Suland this weekend because I made a quick trip out to London. So everybody knows I'm on the board of trustees for the Trinidad and Tobago Association UK, and they had a soup kitchen this weekend. And not too far from where Sulan lives. So I sent her a message. She and I had a little bit of a falling out over some shit that I did. And I mean, I wouldn't get into those details, but, I apologize. And we kind of, we've made up from that. And she came out, we hang out. I got to see her son, Maddox, that's gotten, he's growing up. And yeah, it was a good catch up. And I literally went into London. And I came back that same day. So I think that was like 6 hours of travel combined. Not great. But yes, and she does say hi, by the way. She asked about the podcast, if it's still going. I said, well, not for much longer.
Yeah. So what else did we have going on?
Yeah, that was a good show.
I mean, along the way, even some people will notice we had some hiatuses in the middle between episodes. There was a couple of moments where just, whether it was personal life or just needing a break and such, or we would forget, I think, even. And I think we'd had a conversation. We'd had a conversation last year, towards I think summer.
Mhm.
So we had come back on literally right as the pandemic just took off,
Yes.
and we were like we're getting into a rhythm again, doing episodes. And I think you and I had a conversation like, okay, now we're more consistent. Now we've had some good
Yes.
guests on. We're getting some exposure. I mean, the interesting thing about Robert Frank was, we had his friend Beard So Strong. We had him. We were
Yes.
promoting it. He mentioned our podcast like half a dozen times on his show.
Correct.
I would even, I mean, it was obviously, I'm doing what I can. I want to try to be more there's some opportunism there, and I would send in super chats to a lot of his shows for him to just drop in like our name. Oh, the
It's
10K
like,
Run
hey,
Podcast gave us $10. 10K Run Podcast gave us another $10. Like,
yeah.
just getting it out there, and it
He is
really,
one of the top podcasts in the world. I think they're in the top
yeah.
100 pretty much in every country. In some countries, they're in the top 10. Millions of listens, millions of downloads. You cannot pay for that kind of publicity. Even when I go on and I catch him live, he would always say, "Oh, Brook Potter in the UK from the 10K Run Podcast." Like, he did not go sparing in terms of touting the show.
Mm-hmm.
And crickets.
Yeah. We got more, net gain in subscribers from the Asian capitalists, which we do.
Yes.
We appreciate, everything they did with
our
that.
friend Brian came to us from the Asian capitalists.
Yeah.
So and he's been pretty consistent. Good on you, Brian.
Yeah, so we were keeping up with all that, and just we had the conversation like, well, I mean, we had Robert Frank on, and it just didn't take off. So going into 2020, we decided like, well, okay, if we don't see anything
in a year,
if we're not hitting 1,000, we're not seeing
if
some
we're not
major
monetized.
Yeah, just a major jump in downloads, where we're getting, record deals or whatever, we're not seeing any of this. We'll have to have a conversation. And we were starting to have more and more of these conversations, deciding, okay, what are we going to do? And we talked about how, like, just political commentary as a podcast, as a show, that entire market really of just podcasts and shows kind of got oversaturated.
Sure.
You have the people about, like, I think, you'll hear about like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Tim Pool. Heck, you don't even really hear about like Ben Shapiro's like other guys, like, Michael Knowles or Andrew Klavan quite as much.
Matt Walsh. I like Klavan, but yeah.
Matt Walsh will pop up because I think he just gives like these, hot takes that people really like to, publicize and such.
Yes. He's a bomb thrower. Well, a religious bomb thrower.
Yeah. So, and then, or you'll hear about, I mean, you don't hear much about Chris Reagan. He'll do takes that are more cultural than any sort of politics. Yeah. Some black guy.
I haven't listened to Chris Reagan in a long time, maybe a year or more.
Some black guy. He just does like an occasional take, or he'll do his what he calls Twitter trash. He'll just look at funny Twitter takes. And then he does a lot of his music stuff. Shoe on Head. It's like months between a video. So the political.
She's gone full communist, so it's not great.
I haven't seen much of her stuff to know what's going on.
Yeah. She's gone full commie. She's like sucking on the teat of Vosh, somebody who I can't stand listening to. But yeah, she's gone full commie. Even Sargon of Akkad, he's moved on from his channel, so he now does the Lotus Eaters podcast. So he got like a production studio and stuff like that, and so he's kind of moved away from doing too much on his own. And one of the few videos he did recently was critiquing Shoe on Head, how she just doesn't understand anything, right? She just doesn't understand economics, doesn't understand how the world works, living in this idealized utopian idea of communism, and he kind of he ripped her a new one almost. So it's quite a thing. The space definitely got full. I would give you that.
Yeah.
It got very crowded very fast.
Yeah. So, and we talked about like, well, what if we started like a year earlier or 2 years earlier?
Probably would have made a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. The algorithms would have been different. The saturation, the sort of, catching on to the wave before it kind of passed, went and gone.
Yes.
So, and I'm not, a lot of the episodes, we had a lot of fun doing. 140 episodes. We obviously cared something about it.
It's actually more than that because we have a couple half episodes. So
yeah, some half episodes.
Some we removed. Some we actually took down.
Yes. There. So, sorry, someone's trying calling me. Yeah, we did all of that, and yeah, and we really tried. We didn't want to do too much. I think, yeah, there was one episode we just straight up pulled down because I think I was like super tired or something. There was another one where we had so many technical issues or something. It was just, there were a handful of those, or the half episodes because we wanted to like savor a number. Episode 100 or episode 69 or something.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it was, it went where it went. And we had Spike Cohen on like twice.
Yeah, and he promoted it like hell.
Yeah. Having him on he promoted it. Yeah. He couldn't, he has to balance. He can't give too much preferential treatment, but he definitely
he didn't do it the first time. When the second time he came on, that's when he put it out.
Yeah, he put it on Twitter, tagged me on Twitter, put it on Facebook. He still has, back then even, he had a decent sized following, and it just, again, didn't quite.
Somebody took the episode that we did with him, the first one, because I think we did 2 in total, and they posted it into about a dozen or so libertarian groups on Facebook. Right, this is around the time of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw the traffic on the fan page, and I think the views were over 1,000, and the clicks were over 1,000. Doesn't mean everybody watched it, but huge exposure, huge audience, went out to everybody. So I was like, oh, well, this is it. The gravy train has arrived. I'm going to move to Dubai, bitches and hoes, blow as far as I could eat. I could quit my day job, that kind of thing. And didn't quite happen that way.
Yeah. And the second time, he promoted it more. Again, more
he did.
Again.
Yes.
Just
didn't get traction. Didn't get traction.
And again, and we're not saying it was any fault of the guests.
Of course not.
Robert Frank did all he did. Spike did all he did. There was the one time we had our friend Steffi on. She was like tagging us a week after she came on
in everything. Yes,
and that
crickets.
Yeah.
So because we're not hot blondes, that's the problem. Well, we know that's partially true.
So, what the heck?
Are you getting a call? Are they calling you at work? It's an emergency. You can't do without you.
Everyone's just trying to call me like, hey, because it's my day. It's another day off, and my family wants to like meet up. So I told them I'm doing a podcast. We'll get to it. So, yeah, we had a lot of that, and I think, and it really was just, I've talked to some friends who are into YouTube who have, I know you have 2,500. I've got a friend that's got over like 6,000 subscribers. He does a lot of product reviews and stuff, nothing political. And he was looking at some things, and granted, I talked to him like a month ago about this, and he was saying, hey, there's some things you could do. Like, you really got to be more proactive on like, promoting and all this. And at that point, it wasn't that what he said was, falling on deaf ears. I just sat there and I'm like, yeah.
We've always done that. Yeah, we've always known that we just had to put the work in, right? We had to go on Reddit, we had to go on Facebook, we had to go on all these places and spam the episodes, right? That's what we had to do. And as I say, I have a friend of mine. He, started his channel after me. And I think he's getting close to where I'm at now. So I think he's only been doing it for a year, but he spams the shit out of his episodes. Every day I get a notification in my MSN, my WhatsApp, and my Instagram from him with the same episode. Like, that's crazy. But that's what if we really wanted it, that's what we probably should have done.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, as much as I really loved doing the show, I don't think I really felt such fervor to sell my soul to just spamming the hell out of it.
Yeah. Neither did I, which is why I didn't do it.
Like, because we were doing some clips and such, but like there was kind of like almost a self-limiter. Like we were just like, all right, we're just, we're pushing it. I felt awkward when I made the page and I clicked invite all friends.
Right.
It was just like,
I didn't give a shit about that. I did it anyway.
I did it, but it just felt a little like, okay,
I have a lot of friends who are in marketing and stuff like that, and they do that shit to me all the time. They don't. It's not even personal because they're not even looking at who's invited. They just click all, invite all. So I didn't give a shit. It's like, okay, fine, I'll invite everybody, and I don't think I maybe got a handful out of the, at that time, probably 600 people that I had, or 500 people, a handful actually accepted it. Mm-hmm. And then we also ran the competition. Don't forget about that.
We did. So we were like pumping out, saying, hey, like the page, subscribe to the channel, follow something. There was like a couple of criteria we had. And if you get all this, we'll do a drawing. And you'll get like it
was a $50 US Amazon gift card.
It was share the post, like the page, and leave a comment. That's what it was on Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Or tag 2 friends or something. Can't remember.
There was a handful. Yeah, there was something like that. So I was like, I literally like wrote down a list and was like going through all the entries. It was right at about 100 some people that were like in the entries. And then I did it live on the show where I like swiped through the names to kind of randomize who I was choose. Yeah. We sent out the card. They redeemed it. They were all very happy. They posted about it. That got like a slight boost.
Yeah, I think we picked up like 60 or 50 or 60 likes on the page. Maybe a little more than that. I can't remember.
Probably a few dozen subscribers on the channel, but it just, again, it was like just that.
It's like for $50, man, to get like 100 people. Oh, God, it's like $2 a person.
And we've dropped like, like $10, $20 a pop on certain like Facebook ads to get more traffic.
Yeah. Not to mention we're paying for the StreamYard that's coming out every month. Yeah. So that little logo that's above Amos's head, we pay for that shit.
The design of it, the putting the feature that allows us to put it up, the whole, wash your balls thing, like, which, if you guys know, we didn't even mention at the beginning. So
if you don't know by now to wash your balls, I'm sorry for your balls. I'm just, it's too late for that.
So, we're kind of having a lot of these, moments of sort of just sitting down and realizing, hey, it's not really going anywhere. Well, sounds bad. I don't want to sound defeated. But it was just like, being kind of an addressing reality to go, I think we're just going to kind of be done. We talked about, like, as Brook has his channel he's been working on. That's getting traction. I'm doing things too. Like, you said you're on the board of trustees with the Trinidad and Tobago Association
UK. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, like, how many people are part of that?
Oh, that's a good question. We have a lot of legacy people from the Windrush generation. So I think it's about 100. But we haven't really started pushing it because it's a new board. And like, just for me personally, I didn't want to invite anybody because we didn't have access to certain things that we needed. But yeah, we're going to start pushing it a little harder. And it looks good on a resume. Being part of a charity in the UK is very prestigious. So
hopefully it'll open some doors. like a cultural thing? Like you guys meet up and kind of
Yes.
appreciate Trinidad and Tobago and talk about things and kind of do a lot of
Yes.
socials and such?
As well as some outreach. So what we did on Saturday was a soup kitchen. So we gave food to the homeless. The homeless are very picky, man. They're very funny people. They're very they don't like Caribbean food, I guess. So we prepared about 100 to 150 dishes, and some person donated like another couple dishes. And at the end of it, we gave out, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 bags. I honestly don't know. Some vegetarian, some meat based. And at the end of it, I think we ended up donating it to a Turkish community center. So we obviously overprepared, but it's a pandemic. It was a hot day. There's a lot of factors that kind of went against us. So that's one thing. We want to do cultural outreach as well. So like appreciation of the steel pan, the steel drum, made in Trinidad, appreciation for the type of music, soca music, people, stuff for couples. So you might have an English person and a Trinidadian that married, and they might have some cultural misunderstandings. We actually want to do things for couples, and of course, networking events for young people, to how to write a resume, how to ask for funding, how to, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The irony of ironies for me, just very quickly, when I first got to the UK back in 2016, I actually saw the Trinidad and Tobago Association. I was driving by with Sulan. I think I'd gone to somewhere to buy clothes, and you need all your winter stuff. You can't get winter stuff in Trinidad. So she took me shopping, and wherever we were, right across the street was the Trinidad and Tobago Association. So it's like, aha, I can go there and they'll tell me how to set up everything I need for the UK. So my national insurance number, how to get on the NHS, how do I file my taxes, who could be a reference for rental, and I went there and nobody could help me. Nobody there could help me. So that's my personal mission for the Trinidad and Tobago Association. Any person of Caribbean descent, doesn't have to just be Trinidad. We really want to, because it's a limited. We're reaching the Caribbean diaspora that comes to the UK. The first point of contact should be with us. If you're there as a tourist, we could offer you like, these are the things you should see. If you're there as a student, we could like vouch for your housing or whatever. If you're there as an adult, we can help you get a place to rent and all that kind of stuff and help establish you. So that's my long-term vision. I mean, I'm not the only trustee, obviously. There are other people there, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Right. Huh. So, yeah, I mean, so you've got that going on. You've got your channel. And even when I, literally just as we're kind of moving on from the show, I, become more involved with the Libertarian Party of Minnesota, with working with Spike, working for the Joe Jorgensen campaign and everything, and working with Spike after the fact, even now. I felt like, instead of doing commentary all day in the show, I figured I'd go do something, actually getting involved in the community. And I think, in the same way that you're kind of, you're doing something that was part of an organization, you're on the board of trustees. I'm on the executive committee of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota. We're both kind of part of something, it's local, that's being part of the community. And yeah, I mean, I guess probably within a month, I'm going to have the first meeting and now this is the closest to me. I can say this. I will be forming what is known as the Mankato Area Libertarians. So that'll be a libertarian affiliate under the Libertarian Party of Minnesota in the area.
Brilliant. And you'll be heading that up.
I mean, I'll be essentially heading it up in terms of organizing it. What happens with that is you form the group, so that becomes almost like an outpost, so to speak, of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota in the area. Like there's just area libertarian groups, and you essentially form a new board. Like you have a chair, vice chair, secretary. I keep thinking they say there's 4 of them.
It's usually a treasurer sometimes.
Secretary, not treasurer. It's something else, because if a treasurer would only be needed if you're an independent group. So all of our funding is through, like, we funnel the funding from the Libertarian Party of Minnesota.
The major party. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll approve like small expenses for us to sort of get funding for, like, let's say if we wanted to, get T-shirts for a local parade.
Right.
Like, so we'll go to county fairs, we'll go to city parades and such. I know, I mean, we won't do anything for this month, but I know, like, some of the local groups, like there's a libertarian group in one of the couple of the cities, and they're getting T-shirts to go participate in a lot of the what is it, the Juneteenth parade. Juneteenth is kind of in the middle of Pride Month. Some cities are doing things, and they take the opportunity as a way of sort of reaching out to people and recruiting, new members, basically.
Good.
So I'm reforming the Mankato area libertarians, and then I'm also working on, like, helping grow the party, whether that's seeing what they're doing social media, since I have that experience, or whatever they're doing to recruit new members. So and that's all just building towards, to see where that will take me.
Yes.
Does that take me in doing more with the party here? And really just kind of setting myself up too, so that, for whatever comes in for next year, being the midterm election or the next presidential election.
Oh, it's going to be Spike and Amos 2024?
No, I won't be old enough.
Yeah, what's the minimum age? You got to be what, 35? Is it
35? So I can technically run in 2028.
28. Oh, there you go. Spicy.
No. I mean, in the same way that Spike Cohen has sort of stated with his intentions for 24 is 2021 is more important. 2022 has a lot of things going in. 2023,
the midterms.
Yeah, there's midterms, there's special elections, local elections and stuff that are more important, and he's just focusing on, like, what he's been doing lately. He's going to all these state conventions, he's going all across to different events, meeting with people. He's even done, like, some charity work to kind of not just to put the Libertarian Party out there for local parties, but really just set that example of not only can we be doing political action, I think there's public action of going out and actually doing stuff. Like they actually did a soup kitchen for the Libertarian Party of Tennessee, I believe it was.
Cool.
So they're doing all that stuff, and he's trying to, like, really help the movement with all it. And he's devoted almost all of his resources into that. I mean, he's retired, he's done with the campaign, so what else is he doing? Just go around the country working with parties and such. So
good. I mean, is he making a little money on speaking fees, hopefully? Because as a candidate for president, you usually get a little something.
Usually there is they usually just cover all of his expenses.
Okay. Well,
so they'll fly him out and back, and then they'll get, like, a hotel room from it, and that's about it. But then when he's there and he's with people, that people are probably just, everyone's treating everyone else, so it's a free trip, basically.
Yeah.
Spike Cohen, having retired at the age he did retire, tells me that resources are definitely not a problem for him.
Yeah, he's not looking for handouts.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, hey, cover everything. I'm good.
Good.
Some cases, if he has to put out his own money, he's fine with that. Like,
Yeah.
And it's, it's not to speculate and kind of go like, oh, he's whatever, but he's got money, What's gonna
Hey, what's happening, Conk?
Giving him a little crap, and he'll mention, Jewish man in his line of work, definitely has money. So, yeah, he knows that. So,
yeah, I mean, he was definitely one of the more interesting guests that we had on. A couple of them, as I said, we've had a couple of guests that came on twice. He was one, and I mean, that was basically your connection. I told you early on when I saw the Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen campaign. In the beginning, he was a goofball, and I was like, "Oh no, this guy, he's too over the top." Because of course, it was the scene with him ripping his shirt open, and I think he's like exposing his bare chest or something. So I can't remember the photograph.
And people were like, oh no, it's the guy in the thong on the stage all over again.
It's gonna be the thong guy all over. Anybody who doesn't know, I think in the middle of the convention, a guy went up there and basically 2016 and stripped down to a thong. And he wasn't exactly Arnold Schwarzenegger in his appearance, right? I think he's like closer to Amos and myself. And it became the laughing stock of that. Kind of became the meme of the Libertarian Party.
I will say, he may or may not be loosely connected with the party still. I mean, he's
thong guy.
Yeah. He. I mean,
thong.
He. So during 2020, when the Libertarian Party was having their, they had a hybrid convention. So what they did was they did one set of like one part of the convention was was in Zoom.
Yeah.
Another part of the convention was in person. So they kind of did both. Like they did a lot of the nomination and everything online. Which was a freaking nightmare. Like it was 12-hour days on Zoom with the chair and vice chair and everything, like trying to like organize literally thousands of people.
I'd imagine no less.
And they're
can just Zoom support thousands of people?
There was a certain way they were doing it. There was some, anyways, it was really chaotic.
Sure, yeah, to say the least.
Because any one person could forget to mute and all this stuff, and it's just waiting, and it's, you could see the chair at the time was Nick Sarwarth. He's just like this for 12 hours. So they nominate, they get Spike and they get Joe, and then they did a second part of the convention where they were doing it all in person. And but it was really funny. So the hybrid convention, the first part was Zoom. Well, we all knew like during 2020, everyone was on Zoom. Was just doing, work, whether it was work, meetings, talking to people. People were doing like, Zoom birthday parties, Zoom get-togethers, Zoom Thanksgiving, whatever. And the guy, the thong guy, I think his name is
Cisco.
No, his name's James James Weeks.
People may not get that reference. Cisco was the guy who sang Thong Song.
Oh,
so yeah, y'all might be too young for that.
So he's so he made a comment because everyone was on Zoom doing the meetings. So obviously we know how Zoom goes when you sit in front of your camera, you wear you dress up nice, but you're probably not wearing pants, right?
Right.
Or you're wearing shorts. So he comes out and he says, "See, I knew I was revolutionary. I wasn't wearing pants before it, but before it was cool." So he owned it. It kind of was a roundabout way of kind of reclaiming the meme, and it was funny. So kind of making fun of the convention. So they had all that, and then they had on, so Spike became the nominee for vice president, and it was. Yeah, like you were saying, he was kind of the goofball. I see a lot of pictures of him from before he got nominated, and he's just goofing around and doing a bunch of things. Like not in a bad way, just he was that guy. And as he came into sort of the spotlight, and people were like looking to what he was posting, what he's talking about. At first, people were even like trying to get on him because he did a podcast shirtless.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
He did a podcast shirtless. He was a little hairy, and there was some people saw his nipples, and people were like, "Oh, is this the way a vice presidential candidate should be? Why do we need to see his nipples?" And there was, it was freaking Nipplegate. It was Nipplegate, and
not great for a presidential candidate. I'll be honest.
And people were like, what is this? But
it's kind of like Gary Johnson with the shoes. Do you remember that when he would come out? He'd wear a suit. But he'd wear like trainers, like Skechers or whatever, kind of floppy, teenage shoes. And they eventually kind of had to wheel him in on it. Like, look, don't bundle this over the shoes. Just wear the goddamn decent shoes.
He talked about not smoking weed during the campaign.
Yes.
But then like he would always make jokes about it. Like so he went to a conference and they said, we've been hearing it was some lady who was like reading off like the statistics, and studies that show there's a connection between smoking weed and having a heart attack. And he's sitting there next to her, and he just goes and just grabs his chest and falls down, and kind of making fun of her. Yeah, there's definitely, libertarians have definitely done plenty to like kind of
become
break the mold,
the joke,
make a joke, really. Like, it's like they'll provide the policy positions, but then still keep it loose and kind of try to crack jokes. So
I mean, to be fair, that is because they know they're not going to win. I guarantee you, if they really believe they had a chance at winning, that would dry up real fast. Like if you were the mainstream party,
there is.
So it's a good and a bad.
I've talked to people about that. Yeah, I've talked to people about how like there is that momentum. There are the steps that need to be taken to approach certain milestones. Like there's the 5% popular vote milestone. Yeah. There's the media appearances, all this stuff. So anyway, so Spike, does the whole nipple thing, and people kind of freak out. Like, how are we ever going to be taken seriously if this guy is, going shirtless on a podcast? He kind of like ran with it and turned around and, became a lot more serious.
Yes.
Still funny guy, makes jokes. Like his humor can be very subtle and dry. Like even coming on the show.
Yes.
The second episode was, I think, a lot better than the first one. He came on, and he
loved the soap.
The soap.
He loved the soap. He was like, all the problems in my life is because I've been using the wrong soap. And it's like everybody should go and buy
soap.
Yeah, it's like no, it's tactical soap. No, he was. I think he did the spot like 4 or 5 times for us during the podcast, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and then a couple times I've talked to him, in meetings that I'll have with him because being part of his team, he'll just like talk about soap when I bring it up.
It's a running
he joke. Even turned into like, so when I was being part of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota, trying to be part of the executive board, there's a voting process. So he cannot endorse me officially because it's internal.
Straight up. Yes, exactly.
So he wrote a post about me, and it was the first he already talked about wanting to do like an appreciation, like a series of appreciation posts for his people, and he made a post about me. First one was about me. People were messaging me and stuff, and I made the joke, dude, I'm getting all these libertarian chicks in my inbox, and he goes, dude, I told you I use soap with the post.
Sweet.
So he's well, he is kind of like more of a serious kind of activist now. He's more trying to be more professional. He's that Spike that's was shirtless and ripping his shirt off on camera and all this. It's still there.
Yes.
It's just
tempered.
Tries to be more tempered. And that's kind of like been that balance, I think, that has brought a lot of appeal for him.
Yeah.
So had him on. Who else?
Yeah, he was a great guy, and he's very good natured about it. Because I know he's married to his wife Tasha. Is it Tasha?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of posts where he's showing up at the airport, and they're like, "Hi, Tasha +1," kind of like not even acknowledging him, kind of thing.
It's the thing. Yeah, the thing about him and his wife was at first, he really didn't want to have her on social media. Like she has no social media.
Yeah.
I think she has a phone. They text each other. That's really it. No social media. And, but just as, obviously she's going to go with him to events and such. So people started meeting her, talking to her, and she's very sociable, very nice, and likes talking to everyone. And people started really liking her. She's very, very pretty, very, very nice. Just, people were kind of like, what the hell is she doing with Spike? Kind of
Yes.
And
Beauty and the Beast.
There was even a Facebook group called, Libertarian Guys Punching Above Their Weight or something like that.
Apparently, hold on. This is a red pill piece of knowledge. Apparently, very hot women are better off with like average to below average men. They're happier. I think there was like a study about this whole thing. Simply because they feel more, obviously, if it's not as like, studly Giga Chad, they don't feel as threatened. They don't feel like as much competition.
They're not.
I don't know if that's true. That's just the study I read. I thought that'd be interesting to throw in.
And no one else is going for him.
Yeah,
so he's mine.
That's kind of the thinking.
And Spike, Spike's a sharp looking guy.
He's a decent looking guy. Yeah, of course.
But he's a model.
Yeah, he's very kosher. He's great, man.
Jesus. So yeah, the joke was, he is Tasha Cohen's spouse. I mean, they capitalized on this. They were doing a fundraising for the Libertarian Party of California that said, for Spike's name tag, we have a competition of what will his name tag say? Will it be Spike Cohen's spouse? Will it be Tasha Cohen's spouse?
Tasha Cohen.
Would it be, Mr. Tasha Cohen? Would it be, it was a whole list, and they were like raising money, like $5 per entry.
Right.
And then we'll take the votes, but there was a huge fundraising opportunity. So he had fun with it.
Good. Yeah, he looks like he's not taking that too seriously. That's good.
Yeah. So it's definitely, working with him more in the future. I don't know what 24 and 28 will entail, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, you being involved with the Libertarian Party, and that's how we got a lot of guests as well. Not, I know you have an affinity for redheads. We've had a pretty decent assortment of Libertarian redheads. No coincidence that I've actually been on the show, right? And another guest that we've had on twice was Caitlin, of course, who's come on.
Caitlin Cloven I've worked with since 2018. So she was part of the sort of the founding group that made Think Liberty.
Oh, we have Mike in the chat as well from that whole
Mike
Ursary.
Now, redhead, we had him on too.
Yeah, we did. Didn't know you swung both ways, Amos. I know you like redheads, but damn.
so we had Caitlin Cloven on because I'd worked with her with Think Liberty. I was right as we were doing the podcast and everything, I felt like I wanted to do writing, and I started writing for Think Liberty, who I was doing articles for them. I did one that kind of took off, talking about the hubris of libertarians post Gary Johnson era, talking about all that, and started doing articles, doing some news stuff, libertarian writing. There was even talk at one point that Think Liberty wanted to kind of put it together like a compilation book, and so my articles were going to be in the book. That didn't quite take off, which is fine. It was just what it was. But then moving forward, I started working with Caitlin on we would do the Think Liberty podcast. Shitlord Preachers was part of the Think Liberty network for a time as well.
For a time, yeah. Until we got that disastrous contract there. They wanted to steal the whole thing, and
Oh, we're just saying it. Okay.
It's the last show, Amos. It's the last show.
There was a discussion regarding sort of essentially acquiring the show.
Yes.
But now I think even very recently, there was a lot of that didn't really go anywhere. So doing the show, working with them, and then continued a relationship with them, writing for them, hopping on their podcast, they would drop our name a few times.
I mean, they were supposed to still kind of promote us once a month was kind of the idea.
Being Libertarian was doing that.
Right. Being Libertarian.
That connection. But the way things are right now, even Being Libertarian and Think Liberty have kind of plateaued.
Sure.
On terms of just involvement with the party, talking about stuff. I still watch the stuff, but with Caitlin and a lot of the people who were sort of the founding members kind of moved on to doing other things. I know there's Joshua Smith. He's a guy we were trying to get on for a bit, but he's more involved. He does his own podcast, and he also talks. He's a member of the Libertarian National Committee, like the national level. Caitlin Cloven being, she went on to work for the Joe Jorgensen campaign, which then kind of took her into a position now being like one of the top
social media
people in the party. Yeah. She does. She's right now part of the official what are called regional trainings. Right. So now there's training that the party does. There's a group of people, there's a staff that does this. What they'll do is they'll do. There's 2 tracks. One is for affiliates being like state parties and their subsidiaries, and one is for campaign. They call it the campaign track. So that's like campaign management, social media stuff, like how to be an effective member of a campaign.
Yes.
They have 2 tracks for that. I will be going in September to the affiliate training, since I'm part of an affiliate now. In September, that will be in Des Moines. Good old Des Moines, Iowa.
Hey, the love of my life, Denise Richards, is from Des Moines, Iowa. So we're not too bad.
So actually, Make the Best. Thank you for joining us, by the way. It is actually 9 watching right now.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
There'll definitely be a lot of views afterwards, I believe. So yeah, I'll be going to that. I'll be going to that training. I know there's also now that I'm also just more I'm kind of going back in a bit to a similar schedule to last year.
Yeah.
No, it says it here on StreamYard. Make the Best. Nope, 9 people viewing. Don't disregard
Make the Best is me. I'm actually watching it as well. It's on my other screen, so you can -1 if you really have to. But I am watching it.
Disregard the 15 tabs open of the show.
Nothing to see here, guys. Nothing behind the curtain.
I'm kind of going back to a similar schedule as last year, where I was doing some traveling. I know, I'll be going to this training. I know there's also there might be a few other events I'll be going to. I know, our friends over at Masculine Geek, I'm going to meet up with them for an event they're doing out east.
Yes.
So, yeah, and then of course being involved in the party, that could go in any way. There's a lot I could go into with the party stuff, but I'm actually going to be signing an NDA at some point for that.
Oh, okay. So we'll save that for the real fix then.
No, part of working for the party, which is important, is I'll have access to a lot of proprietary information, donors. That too. Donors, donor information, a lot of data regarding membership, and I can't.
Yeah, of course. I'm the same thing with the proprietary information. How to sign an NDA. I have access to the official emails. And I mean, I could approach people and be like, yeah, I represent the trust. And and we have some pretty sensitive information. In Europe, we have something called the GRDP or something like that. That regulates data and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we have some very sensitive information because the membership goes back 40, 50, 60 years to the 1960s. Yeah. And some very personal information, we kind of have it in-house in terms of their history. So yeah, I completely get that.
Yeah, we have a database, I think it's called CiviCRM.
It's probably very similar, yeah.
And it's connected.
Yeah, GDPR, whatever it is, yeah. Brian. Thank you.
there's a state level information, and there's national level information. For example, I gotta start accessing info. I'll be getting information from the Jorgensen campaign. I don't know if we can get anything from the Johnson campaign, but that'd be cool. And
that would be cool.
Getting some information to
getting
people to hey, there's people we can reach out to for joining the party, or just seeing what they want to do with the party. So all of that. So yeah, a lot of, I think, and it's not to, it's us, but we're kind of going in the different direction of, now we've done a lot of the talking and so essentially talking about what we believe, what we like to do. But dropping into actually doing what we, doing stuff, getting involved with things we care about. What's that? You're looking at those
Conk
messages
is helping. He's got like 4 screens open watching us at the same time. He's trying to get those are amateur numbers. You gotta bump those numbers up.
Jesus.
You just send that to our group. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for where things are going for you, Amos. At the end of the day, you've made some phenomenal connections. Some of them in part because of the show. Our connections with Think Liberty and your connection with Caitlin has been phenomenal. And I mean, yeah, that landed you basically working alongside the presidential campaign and with her, and it's opened doors for the future. But with that said, what people really want to know is who was the hottest redhead that we had on the show. You can suck up to Caitlin if you want. She's your boss in some ways.
One of the things about working with Caitlin and of course working with Spike, and I told her and I've told Spike this is
so Conk isn't in the running. Conk is a redhead. What's wrong with you?
Conk is like, if you haven't met Conk in person. Our friends of Masculine Geek met Conk in person, and I met Conk in person. I got to talk to them over our Zoom meeting we do, and I said, like, dude, like, isn't Conk like just a massive like? Because the thing is, like, so for me, so like, if you see me, I've got some weight on me, so I'm a little bit wide, like I look a little wide. But,
sure.
But Conk is just like big. Like, he's tall and big. So, like, I mean, he's like a football player. So I'm seeing him and I'm like, this guy's big. like, and I'm looking at him. I'm not thinking, obviously, I see him. I'm like,
you feel small next to him. Is what you're saying. Okay.
He's not, you don't see him, and you don't think about, he's not a fat guy. He's a big guy. He's just big. And I'm like,
sure.
Holy crap.
I look forward to meeting him, man. I hope I come out sometime and we could go for some Kansas City barbecue.
Yes, like Conk is saying here, he hasn't fit on a urinal stall since high school. He's a big dude. Like, you don't want to mess with this dude. I think the redheads that we've had, we've only had like 3 redheaded chicks on the show. I think
so. Steffi was one. So she wrote the books. All the cool girls are anarchists.
No. That was Sarah.
Oh,
and Sarah was a brunette.
Sarah. Oh, right. I apologize. Right. So that was Sarah. She was a redhead.
Nope. She was a brunette.
She was brunette. Okay.
So Steffi was doing a lot of activism. Like, she was working with the Justin Amash campaign. She was also working with she does a lot of like Twitter stuff. She was doing some writing. She also like sells. She's also like one of the people that like sells libertarian merch.
Right.
So she'll do a lot of that. She's doing a lot of Twitter stuff. She's also going on all sorts of podcasts. So kind of like I'd say just an activist who's going around doing a lot of stuff. She's not part of the party, but she'll work with a lot of people who are.
Yeah, I think she recently got married, didn't she? Or engaged or something?
She's engaged to Austin Peterson, who was part of the Libertarian Party. He was part of the Libertarian Party's like presidential campaign candidate debates. So he was debating against. This was like when it was McAfee,
16
Johnson, and all them, and he even kind of stuck around for a bit later. Then he was wanting to run for Missouri senator as a Republican.
Right.
And that, that was, some people in the party didn't quite like that, but whatever. So she had like been connecting with him. She would go on his radio show that he was doing. And they eventually got engaged.
Cool.
So, obviously, congrats to them again. I think we mentioned it before. And she's like moved in living with him. So we had her, Caitlin Cloven actually literally lived 20 minutes down the road from me.
Really?
And yeah. And then she had to move, her fiance at the time had to move out to Ohio. And so she went with them, and still, obviously, I'm still in contact with her and all that. And then the other redhead we had was she went by Twitter site at the time.
Right.
Haven't been in contact with her in a long time. She was just someone we knew on Twitter, and she was just sharing her experience of like just being banned from Twitter all the time because she was essentially like libertarian leaning, but had like a pro-life stance, and she would get in a lot of trouble debating other feminists.
Right. Yeah, I think I remember that conversation. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was, we were really trying to just like get chicks on the show to get views, right?
Well, you were trying to get chicks on the show, so
hey.
Yeah, of course.
It's
No, I
about
didn't
getting the
complain. I was
views.
grateful. I was completely on board.
Getting the views.
Yes. It was all about our audience and providing stimulating conversation.
Exactly. So,
yeah, brilliant. So, which of them is the hottest?
The most delightful to have on the show would have been Steffi, I'd say.
Okay, cool.
She was, promoting us quite a bit. I'd say in a close second would be Caitlin, just being a friend of mine. But the thing, sorry, I should have gotten to this. The thing about Caitlin and working with Spike also is I've starting to tell people like they're kind of the two people sort of inspired me to be part of the party again.
Good.
Even though Caitlin Cloven's not part of the party, she like works a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but never like officially became a member of the party.
Sure.
I think she just doesn't want that like sort of commitment to like sort of be attached, which is fine. She'll go to all the conventions. She's seen as like, a big name activist in the party, but doesn't want to do membership. But Spike is a member. And I just say, the two of them working with them in the campaign kind of inspired me to be part of the party again.
Yeah.
Because I kept, I was seeing all the party politics, and even now, I mean, I'll briefly touch. I've shown you a little bit of what happened with Twitter, with the Libertarian Party. There was the Libertarian Party of
New Hampshire. Yes, the dumpster fire. Yes, okay, yes.
Yes. Libertarian Party of New Hampshire started tweeting some stuff they were talking about how, what was it? I'll tell you some tweets. John McCain? Yeah. McCain's brain tumor has saved more lives than Fauci. Fauci should go to Gitmo.
That's not entirely wrong.
Legalize child labor.
Well, that's the recent dumpster fire that they've been really getting
and people. I mean, some of the people were really trying to like, hey, I worked at a McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever when I was 13, 14, and I did fine. It's like but when people hear child labor, they're thinking of like early 1900s,
working in the coal mines, black lung.
Working in like the first factories, where kids could reach the small machinery and stuff. And it was just, and this was, this brings up the conversation of edgy versus bold messaging.
Yes.
Are we trying to be edgy or are we trying to be bold? And it brought up a lot of conversations. And I mean, even currently, there's a whole drama. The Libertarian Party of New Hampshire actually splintered.
Really? Over these issues?
There are now two organizations in New Hampshire claiming to be the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire.
Damn. Okay.
I won't get too much into that, being just
a
member of Minnesota, and we've kind of made sure like we're not just. It's crazy, it's a dumpster fire, but Minnesota's Minnesota, so that's all I care about for now. So
like fuck them.
That's the great thing is every state associates is affiliated with the national party, but each state is given autonomy in a lot of things to do their own thing. How they go about their structuring, they go about fundraising, messaging. Every community is different. Like New Hampshire is very much a libertarian haven. A lot of libertarian messaging and like just attitudes are there.
I think there was the libertarian movement where they actually tried to move as many libertarians into New Hampshire as possible. Right, free. I think that was what it's called. That's it.
So that I mean that isn't as relevant really, but it's obviously contributed to.
It's made a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think even at one point the motto for the New Hampshire Republicans was taxation is theft.
Brilliant.
I
think they're actually doing an audit on their election, by the way. So, and I think the Libertarian Party is also not to the same degree as Arizona. But they're actually looking into their results as well.
But sorry, there's been a lot of that there, and I mean, there was the Libertarian Party of Kentucky that got in trouble because they said, vaccine cards were no different than the yellow stars.
Did they say that? I thought it was somebody else that said that.
Kentucky said that. So they said,
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's not great.
But then people thought like that brought up too much Holocaust imagery and it was a bit edgy and like, Justin Amash tweeted out, we went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to show me your papers. That was a lot better.
That's accurate. Yes.
Because show me your papers is not limited to one specific historical event. Like it's been
for the glory of Stutska,
exactly.
For those who don't know,
Awesome
there's an awesome
Papers,
game
Please.
called Papers, Please, right? And it's an immigration officer working in a country called
It's kind of one of those like timeless, simple games. So yeah.
I mean, before we go down all the dumpster fires, let's talk a couple of the highlights. I think one of our most popular episodes was actually with Darko Ali and the Forex stuff.
Yeah, surprisingly, like the most
viewed episode, and I think every month we still get a lot of downloads on that episode. So yeah, great. If Darko, if you hear this, we thank you for coming on and being a fantastic guest. He was a guy that I was working with at a company called forexmentor.com. They're a currency trading, proprietary trading company. And he and I just hit it off. I would talk to him pretty much every day. There was a live chat. I was like taking positions in the market and stuff like that. And he started a podcast. I think it's like Forex Coach or something like that. I'll have to find the details. Well, the Coach's Corner is the business, but his podcast, I think, is Forex Mentor or Forex Coach or something like that. You'll have to go back and look at the episode to get the details. And he asked me for advice on like how to set it up, what kind of equipment, all this kind of stuff. And the limited knowledge I had, I passed it on to him. And of course, Vic Noble, who was, his co-coach at Forex Mentor. And yeah, I think to this day, it's like over 800 views and we get consistent downloads on that pretty much every month. That's pretty spectacular. And our other big highlight, of course, is the Rational Mail review that we did.
That is a really interesting one. So the Rational Mail is a book, kind of like an introductory book to a lot of kind of red pill stuff we've talked about, dating, relationships, differences between men and women, how to be successful with women, and like how to be.
Well, it's not a how to be successful, but definitely to understand the intergender dynamic.
I should say, I'm kind of.
It's not a game. It's It's not like helping you pick up chicks. It just helps you understand their nature. Sure.
Yeah, kind of like it's a lot of guys have read it. I've read it. Some friends I know read it, and they been helped by it. Granted, I mean, the me that just read it versus the me right now, very different. A lot of different thinking on it.
Sure.
A little more, I could say, I don't know if I say reformed, but more like I have everyone kind of adopts the different ideas in there differently. So I'm kind of where I am now. So we did a review over Christmas. It was our Christmas episode. We were wearing hats and talking about the book, giving a proper review, recommending people go check it out. And I even, we had Rolo share it and everything, and he enjoyed it. We've interacted with him in different ways. Like I've played, we've had him on Religion Zero.
we were supposed to go on his show when we were still the Shit Lord Preachers.
He was doing a Religion and a Red Pill series while he was working in the book, the fourth book he did. And we were going to come on, but it didn't quite follow. We just didn't quite get there.
It didn't work out. Yeah.
But we had him on Religion Zero and talked to him there, and that went really well. We actually had him on twice.
Yes.
Well, Religion Zero had him on twice. I wasn't there for the second time.
Sure.
When he was talking about the fourth book.
Yeah, that was Conking myself. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we did the review and he liked it. He shared it on Twitter, but it is our number one most downloaded episode on podcasting simply because of his book.
Yeah.
Like anyone will just see his book and type in, Rational Mail, and we pop up.
We pop up.
Um,
How great is that?
yeah. And
maybe there was a clue in there on how we could have promoted the show. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on
we
it.
could have like created an affiliate link for his book and made some money off that.
Yeah. We could have done that. We probably just could have reviewed a couple more products. That might have helped also.
So yeah, there was that, and that was just like one of those things where we weren't really necessarily intending intending on like it taking off, but it did. Like it was like, this is something we like. Oh, it took off. Well, that's interesting. Like, oh, here's someone, because we would have like big name guests, and we're like, yeah, this will take off, and then not really.
Crickets. Yeah, it's kind of okay. And I think we learned an important lesson about the naming strategies as well. So not our most popular, but a couple of them had funky names. So we did an episode where we talked about Mia Khalifa, the porn star. That got a lot, like above average views.
Yeah.
There was another one we did, I can't remember what it was called, but like Too Much Lube. And I made a comment about Arnold. You made a comment about watching Arnold Schwarzenegger and how men affiliate to violence. And I made a comment while you were saying that. I was like, oh, grab the lube. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger shooting up the place. Grab the lube. And I think that was the name, like Too Much Lube. And that did above average. I think it did like 200 views. So there was so many aspects of this that we could have hit on in terms of naming, guest placements, products and stuff. It just never quite came together the way we would have liked. Safe to say?
Yeah. And, with all this talk of, sort of ending the show or I say indefinite pause.
Sure. We may do something, you never know. We might just catch a Vaps. Vaps is a very Trinidadian phrase. We might just get the feels and be like, all right, let's do a show, just kind of catch up or something.
And all of a sudden 1 million views come through and we're like, oh, we're back.
Yeah. Finally, I can retire.
I mean, you're going to be doing your channel. I'm going to be doing work with stuff. I know right now there's talk of doing, some people in the party want to do like a Libertarian Party of Minnesota podcast where we interview all the members, all the party, all the people on the executive committee. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. Like
another podcast,
another Libertarian podcast. Who would have guessed?
Who would have thought?
You'd be, well, you wouldn't be really surprised. It's funny how many times I'll be in some chat, I'll be in some room, some call, some meeting, and it's just like, I was thinking about, and I'm like making a podcast. And they're like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, no.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
Like, you probably have a great idea, but there's like 1 million better ideas out there that are already doing it. And just,
during the pandemic, every person I know that was, the Libertarian Party in the UK has had a split, obviously. There's been a bit of controversy. And a lot of the guys who kind of went independent started various freedom podcasts and stuff like that. And I got a lot of messages like, how you do it, equipment, all the usual spiel. And they've all fizzled at this point. They've all kind of put the brakes on. And it's people figure, oh yeah, we're going to be the next Joe Rogan. Do you have any fucking clue how difficult it is to actually get an audience?
How long it took him to get that audience? What kind of people he has on to maintain that audience?
Correct. That's like over 10 years of work that Joe Rogan has put into, and he was a pioneer. I think a guy called Tom Green might have been one of the first to actually start podcasting, but he gave Joe Rogan that idea. And it's not as easy as many people would like to think this is. Even for my channel, I most of my content is not interviews. It's not podcast related. It's not anything. I did a lot of feeding the algorithm. So you got to put out 3 videos a week, 8 to 10 minutes long. And so I would just pick random shit out of anything I could talk about for 10 minutes. I would make videos on that. And that's what helped me grow my channel. So yeah, it's stagnated because of course I'm saving the good material for us. So, our review on Wonder Woman never happened. That was something I was going on to. There was some other book. I think we were going to do No More Mr. Nice Guy as a book review. Never got into that. But I put my channel on hold to try and, you know, pump all the good stuff into here. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to return to my channel because it does pay me. You know, I get a little money every so often, you know, some gas money when I get my car. So get back some of the money I spent on the equipment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Call 10K shitlord 0.
Yes, we'll do a reunion in a year. We'll bring everybody on. Brilliant.
So
what do you feel about the project of the 10K Rum / Shitlord Preachers? You know, all the work that we've done. You feel like, all right, well, at least we did that. Like, you feel good about the content that we've had.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, there's some parts I think were a lot better than some other parts. Like you can see changes. Like you can see kind of how we were in the beginning, how we were in the middle, different sort of milestones. We you know, different points in the show. You know, you and I, like, you know, in the very beginning, I had this idea to do the show. We would have a lot of conversations. We tried one way, you know, being very structured and talking about articles and such. And then we kind of had some phases where we just really winging it, and some other parts where we kind of had some ideas and didn't. And then we started, like, we had periods of being very organized and periods of being completely unorganized.
Yes, chaos theory.
Yeah. Then we would, you know, trying podcast, you know, being on podcast platforms. Then we're rebranding. Then there was, like, one of the first episodes, you and I had a real debate for the entire show. Like, that was a bit different. We really started. We would show, like, just through the development.
You should post that comment.
Did we ever answer why Puppet have big titties? Because views.
Yeah.
Because views.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in reference to an episode we talked about how there was an online D&D series where there was
Legends
Muppets.
of the Coast.
Legends of the Coast.
Not with Puppets. Muppets is Jim Henson, so that's a copyright issue. But with Puppets.
Puppets that had titties.
Yes, one of the puppets had the biggest possible titties that a puppet could have, with like the titty armor that you basically see in like the 1980s kind of artwork. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did answer that. You should go and watch that episode, Conk. You're behind on the curve.
had all that. And then, we started kind of seeing, like, obviously, you know,
that would be one at 127 if anybody's interested. But episode 127 was why Puppet had big boobs.
The conversations you and I would have would kind of, like, started to kind of change in different ways. You know, I was getting more into the Libertarian Party and such, and I was, you know, having a lot more, like, conversations with different people. So a lot of, you know, our views and such kind of changed in different ways. Heck, the pandemic, even, like, just with me and other people, like, just there were both, you know, friends and family, like, just a lot of things changed. You know, like, not, and by the way, we're like, I even kind of was worried, like, I wonder if people think we're, like, you know, fighting or something. It's like, no. Like, you know, maybe there's a disagreement. Yeah, there's disagreements all the time.
Which is what makes it spicy. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. So it just, there was that, and that had no bearing upon the show itself. It was just,
I don't think so. I think it made it better. You know, because you don't want two yes people kind of yammering at each other. That's right, Bob. Okay, Jim. And you know, that's like fucking TV, right? It's not interesting. That's not why people are watching. So as much as we had the disagreements, I actually appreciated them more because it added the spice to the conversation. And I mean, it was never anything personal. It was just, all right, we differ on these views, you know?
We could have dialed it up to, you know, no, fuck you, Brook. No, fuck you, Amos.
Fuck you, Amos.
No,
take it up the ass with a horse cock.
Jesus. No, we would laugh before we even got serious with an argument like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the project that is the 10K Rum Podcast, you know, has had a lot of good times, had a lot of fun times. You know, it's interesting to kind of show people like, yeah, I got to interview these people, got to talk to these people, make these connections. And yeah, I don't know. Anything you wanted to touch on?
No, I share your views. I'm very grateful for the experience, and we made a lot of great friends, a lot of great connections. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of the fruit of that. You probably would not be in the place you are now if it had not been for this podcast and the connections that we made.
And for
so
you
yeah,
too, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with that to a certain extent. I definitely appreciate the time, and I'm grateful because not everybody is going to have a time machine. Like, this is going to be a window of a 4 years of our lives that we can look back on, our children could look back on, as long as Google and YouTube exist, until they start censoring everything. So we better move everything over to BitChute or whatever. But this is a unique time. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has a diary or something they could look back on and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I said that. I remember. And I mean, I look back on some of the things I said, and people should understand this. I am playing a character. I am trying to be interesting, right? I mean, this isn't my full-on personality. This is me kind of projecting, and that's why I throw shit out and I make these stupid comments, just trying to spice up the conversation. So you might hear me say shit in a previous interview, and I'm just acting. I'm just playing the role, right? And I didn't get everything right. I made lots of mistakes, but I was just trying to keep things entertaining, which is why our podcast was under the entertainment banner, which is where it definitely belonged. And it's been great. It's been absolutely great. Good experience. I wouldn't trade that for the world. And I mean, I'm not going to continue the podcast, but I am going to, as I say, refocus on my channel, continue doing interviews with people. I'm going to start making solo videos. I might start doing like midnight streams kind of thing, and, you know, grab a bottle of mead and just get pissed on the air and just talk about the news or whatever. I don't know. It might be the mead stream or something. I don't know. But yeah, you know, as I say, this has opened a lot of great doors. I've learned a lot. I'm much more comfortable on camera having these types of conversations, and I got great equipment, so I gotta use it.
Yeah,
that's thanks to Think Liberty, right? And being libertarian.
Oh yeah, they were part of being part of, you know, when we were part of that, they kind of told us like, you know, we'd like to put your podcast up. Your content's good. We just need you to have like a certain standard of equipment. So they had me, you know, they told me to get this microphone. I got the camera, and then, you know, that's kind of where we went. You know, Brooke went above and beyond and was like, I went
all in. Balls
you
deep.
were like really good. I mean, you know, he's good. I mean, you've got a whole crew on the other side, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Let me see if I could show. There it is. That's the Road Podcaster.
Yeah,
and everything else that's in there. So I mean, if anybody knows, the Road Podcast is like 500 pounds, and this is the microphone I started with. I started with a USB mic, and I mean, there was some teething problems. There are a couple episodes where the audio quality is shit because I did not know how to tune the Rodecaster. But yeah, when you heard me start this episode and I hit the sound effect and the applause, anybody who's watched Religion Zero, that's all the Rodecaster. So I've got this equipment. You're damn right I'm gonna start using it for something. So yeah, maybe Brian, the Mead Street. The Mead stream. I might do that. Maybe, I don't know, a Wednesday or whatever. I'll think maybe a Thursday. I do like Thursdays, and just kind of, you know, catch up with you guys. You guys could jump in, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But look out for that. Look out for that in the future.
Yeah, we've got a conk here. $40 mic, $50 camera, and making it rain. Yep.
Yeah, I think my camera was what, like 100 pounds for the Logitech CC90, I think, or 92 or whatever it is, HD cam.
I don't remember how much this was. I know the microphone was like $60.
Yeah. Oh, no, this was like a 200 and something for the rig and the arm and everything. Not to mention the Rodecaster was like 500. So
Jesus.
I'm gonna be using it. Believe you me, this shit ain't staying dormant.
Yeah, there's, and because of this, you know, it's given me a lot of ideas of what to do in the future. Because, you know, since I have all this, I'm going to try to use it where I can. Maybe not like doing a new show or anything, but, you know, it's good equipment that if I'm ever, with all the connections I'm making, if I'm like talking to different people, candidates, other activists. Being where I am now, kind of where things will go, I might just start talking to more people. We'll just see how that goes. And then, in preparation for whatever comes as the elections come along, because I'm, being connected with Spike and through Spike, other people, with Caitlin and other people. That's, we'll see where that goes. Now I almost feel like I might miss something if we ended it.
Did we miss
anything? Like I don't want it. It's almost
we gotta thank our Subscribe Star members who've stuck with us.
Yes.
And of course Edmundo, who was there, he was our top tier. We really appreciated all the support. What's going to be happening with the Subscribe Star? Is that coming to an end? Obviously, we're not putting out anything else. So
I think I have to go in there and basically close the account.
Okay.
So far, it's just a handful of people that have been donating, like anywhere from $1 to $5. We haven't had anyone really above that. So
yeah, since Edmundo,
they might not even really notice it. One day they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not donating. What's going on here?" And of course, all the raw takes are there. They're archived. So if
keep those private, because there's some very personal information in those videos.
Yes. At some point, I'm probably going to. Probably because YouTube has a copy of everything, so I'll just put everything as on a hard drive.
On a hard drive as a backup. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
It'll probably be like a few hundred gigabytes of just videos, the shows, the raw takes, and everything. So
yeah. We want to preserve it because it's 4 years of our life, man. It's a lot of work that went into it. It's nostalgia.
YouTube decides to just wipe it out someday.
Yeah, that would be Wojcicki the whole thing.
So, anything else we gotta touch on that?
No, man. For people to say, "Hey, look, Amos and me are good. It's not any kind of beef." I really want to put those rumors to an end. We had a great time. We had great guests. Brian, you've been great. I
totally stole one of his chicks, guys. No,
and I stole her back, but we've appreciated Mictobus and the whole masculine geek crew. We didn't really talk about masculine geek too much.
Masculine Greek.
Masculine geek crew. They've been supporting us. Red Crusade has been coming out and stuff. Some people have been fans of Religion Zero. They've jumped across. We appreciate them as well. I think we kind of covered the gauntlet, so we just want to say thank you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for all the support. And, those who are able to support us financially, as little as it was, we appreciate all of that because we do still have expenses. I think on balance, we're not going to recover the money. Right at this point, it's kind of moot.
Yeah, we recovered a little.
I think we're breaking even on the recurring costs. So like our hosting and stuff has been paid for, but the amount we've put out, we're not getting
at this point. Like the only thing that would be recurring would just be the podcast hosting fee.
Yes.
So that renews in February, and I'm just gonna say don't renew it, and then that's about it. StreamYard, I can just click that off, and YouTube has nothing.
That's a monthly. I think we were monthly on StreamYard. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. They had like an annual, but that's just like way too much.
You got to pay up front. It's like 200 or 140 or something. Yeah,
something crazy. So, we're, a lot of the stuff will still be here. Like the channel is still going to be here. I'm just going to be backing everything up and kind of leaving it unless something else changes. Just in case we ever want to come back to it.
Revive it. When we're old and gray and we're crotchety old men, we might want to revive the 10K Rum podcast, like in our retirement. Never say never.
You're like 20. Oh, fuck, what are you gonna be?
I'd be like 60.
20.
You'd be like 20, 50. I would be 70. You would be. in your
welcome
60s.
to the Tanky Rum Podcast.
Remember when we were young, Amos? Remember when we were young?
we'll basically be the boomers of that generation, you know.
Yeah, whatever generation that'll be called.
Remember Donald Trump? Oh man, that was crazy.
I remember.
Remember berries?
Yeah, man. We had some good times, man. And you never know. It may come back in the future in some kind of iteration. Yeah, we'll see. And Brian, I was just saying, yeah, I'm gonna start doing something. I don't know what it'll be. So look out for that as well. You can check out my channel, links below, of course.
Yep. So, all right. Well, as always,
with that said,
I would say, of course, wash your balls.
Wash your balls, guys. Very important to wash your balls.
I think I'm going to keep that open just in case some person in the future
hears the podcast and decides to make a purchase.
Because the account can just sit there and then just one day I'll get like a check for $2 or something that'll say, because Fantastic. You wash your balls. Yeah, I mean, of course, as always, we do appreciate everyone joining us. Do check out all of the episodes. If you want to stay updated on things, you can always, of course, subscribe. You might not see much for a while. Well, we're still here. We're going to be on social media. All our links are below on that. You can always reach out to us if you want. If you want us on any other podcast, I'm always happy to do that. Brooke is always happy to pop on people's shows.
Yeah, I might interview you for an episode on my channel. I think that might be fun. The history of our podcast. I think, we could do this again on my channel. Yeah, I'll interview you as a guest.
Wow. I mean, it's not like, you don't know so much about me already.
But I'll introducing you to my audience on my channel. I think, yes, we'll have that at some point, definitely.
And then, of course, like I said, I'll be on a variety of things in the future as I get more involved with things. So as usual, we thank everyone for joining us, and
I like that Mictobus. So long and thanks for all the fish. That is a Douglas Adams reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say we will, of course. Well, we will not see everyone next week. So, thanks for
watching. See you when you see you. When we see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Have
a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, guys.